Welcome, Aquarius, to the month of December 2018. I'm Megan of North Star Astrology, and this is another general transits reading for those of you born with your sun, moon, and rising signs in the 11th zodiac sign of Aquarius, the water bearer. Now, you are an air sign. To clarify things, a lot of people think you're a water sign because you carry and spill out the water. But Pisces is the water sign as it is symbolized by the fish. So you come before or are next to the last and are ruled by Uranus. Uranus rules your sign. Here it is, here, see? Okay, now I apologize for being late with this reading, but I was dealing with debilitating vertigo. And if any of you know what that's like, it is... I'm not a dizzy blonde for nothing. Okay, so now let's get on with it. December 1st, Mercury, which is retrograde, moves or retrogrades into the sign of Scorpio into your 10th house of career at 11:13, at which time it sextiles the moon in your 8th house in Virgo. So pleasant communications regarding others' resources and or the asking for a possible raise or promotion or leg up, if you will possibly have been beneficial. Now this, I know this is December 7th, but hopefully this may have happened for you. Okay, and that happened at 14 hours, 50 minutes. Then on December 2nd, Venus, which was transiting your 9th house of religion, philosophy, law, and higher learning, or higher education, leaves its nice, comfortable position as Venus rules Libra, but moves into Scorpio. Now, Venus enters your 10th house of career, making you love what you do in terms of career, and others love you for it. Then, on December 3rd, your ruling planet Uranus opposes the moon once the moon enters Libra. So now, this being that your ruling planet Uranus is in the fiery fire sign of Aries, this, while transiting your 3rd house of communications, this then gives you the emotional awareness of what or how you might effectively communicate in most unique, spontaneous, emotional, broad-minded, as your sign is known for being very broad-minded, a lot like Sagittarius, as the sun is currently in Sagittarius, which helps a lot with this opposition between the third and the ninth houses. So that gives you a nice feeling of awareness with your ruling planet, giving you that going from the conscious mind to the super conscious mind, if you will. So that ties in very nicely for the beginning of the month for you. Then on December 5th, Mercury conjuncts the moon. And a conjunction is a 0 to 8 degree, very close by, together in the same sign, so Scorpio. And I love it when the moon is in Scorpio, then goes into Sagittarius. You'll see what I mean. Now, with Mercury retrograde, however, conjuncting the moon in both in Scorpio in your 10th house, along with Venus here, there is a bit of emotional intensity with how you communicate, and maybe a bit of confusion with Mercury being retrograde. So don't, not saying you would confuse others, but don't be confused or emotionally cause confusion, because that can be a possibility within your career, as that could possibly, I don't know, I don't want to say set you back in some way, but you don't want to be considered, you don't want it to cause some kind of, or, like, in other words, there, gossip or possible, let's see, not saying dishonesty, but just be careful with how you communicate with that conjunction. However, with the moon in Scorpio, like I was saying, it's a nice, solid, water. It gives you that, there's a watery depth to it, a deep, brass tacks depth to it. Now then on December 7th, that's today, at 7:22, the new moon, the new moon occurs. Oh, wait a minute. I just overlooked something. December 6th, Mercury goes direct. So get out of here, retrograde. Okay. So then, we have a fallen angel in our midst. Okay, so now the new moon occurs today, as I'm recording this, in Sag at 7:22 at 15 degrees Sagittarius, 7 minutes. And this new moon, by the way, I'm loving it, when the new moon, or when any moon, for that matter, goes into the sign of Sagittarius. Now, this new moon going into your 11th house of friendships, hopes, goals, and wishes and everything, and group events, gives you the possibility of forming new friendships, and going within, and very much being joyful. I love the moon in Sagittarius. It's such and again, like I was saying, broad-minded. It creates an open-mindedness, which I love. Then on December 8th, which, by the way, which will create new and good things coming to you. Then on December 8th, your ruling planet, Uranus, trines the new moon as the new moon builds toward the first quarter phase. But for now, the new moon in your 11th, harmoniously trining your ruling planet Uranus into your 3rd of communication, can create new and harmonious means of even transportation, as this 3rd house deals with short distance travels. Perhaps you'll be utilizing Uber or something, and it will turn out harmoniously for you, and all sorts of communication will be harmonious from a unique standpoint for you with friendships, and it will be so happy, you know. And then on, let's see, 2 days later, on December 10th, your ruling planet will then square the moon once the moon goes into Capricorn. Now, this position I don't really care for. Not really fond of moon in Capricorn. As now the moon in your 12th house causes a bit of most people to isolate and or have fears or phobias. I know because my mother, which is your opposite sun sign, has her moon natally in the 12th house, and there's always this fear of what others said and how it emotionally affects her, and the slight, and it's like taking things to like sensitivities that are slights. This is a position where you may take things as a slight to your inner being and feel somewhat threatened. And with the moon in that position, squaring your ruling planet in the 3rd, it also causes either you or someone else to communicate, and or you may feel emotionally that you're not understood, or somehow with this square there's a bit of like a like maybe you're not wanting to communicate, and like closing yourself down. Maybe this will cause that, and maybe that's not what you need, but then again, maybe if that's what you feel you need to do, then do that to protect yourself. Because sometimes with the planet, your ruling planet, and now in Aries, it can create a brusque, perhaps, situation. And with the moon here, it's going to kind of, well, you'll see. Hopefully it won't be disruptive, but that's the way I see that. Then on December 12th, Mercury leaves Scorpio and enters your 11th house. By the way, your ruling house. This is, in the flat chart, this is your naturally residing house, the 11th. So once Mercury enters here in the 11th house of friendships, you will be communicating even more so with friends. And that happens at 23 hours, 44 minutes. Then the following day, your ruling planet Uranus sextiles the moon once the moon enters Aquarius. Yeah. So, trying to get these so that they don't fly all over. Okay, so just try to see this as the moon in your first house. It's kind of overlapped at this point. But okay, moon in your sign, the moon now in air, sextiling, if you will, fire. So 60-degree, short but sweet. Now, physically, you will feel at peace with how you go about your day-to-day business and or errands and out and about, and your body. You rule the ankle area, so be careful of your ankles, and in other words, don't sprain an ankle or anything. But with this sextile, you won't. You will feel at peace, at one. You will feel so happy and joyous with this sextile. Then on December 15th at 11:50, now the first quarter phase moon occurs in your second house of money and what you value in the sign of Pisces, your neighboring sign. And that happens at 23 degrees Pisces, 27 minutes in your second house, creating, as if it were stemming from the new moon, creating like first perhaps learning. And see, with all this Piscean energy here in your second house, perhaps you will understand the value of money, perhaps from a spiritual standpoint, as money is considered just an exchange, a tool, and in this case, maybe you'll come to understand it as an altruistic means of doing things. And then on December 15th as well, the sun then squares the sun then in Sagittarius, so from your 11th to your second, the sun squares the moon, then creating perhaps a bit of a challenge to your values. So that could be something that you need to look at. Then on December 18th at 7:22, your ruling planet, Uranus, conjuncts the moon. Once again, now the moon in Aries conjuncts your ruling planet in Aries in your third house of communications. And what this will ultimately do for you emotionally is cause you to even More so now, instead of being like holding back when when the moon was here in your 12th house, you'll now be able to emotionally express yourself in even more innovative and unique ways, perhaps. And that's a good thing. Then on the 20th, at 0 hours 43 minutes, Mars in Pisces in your 12th house sextiles the moon once the moon goes into your 4th house of the home, into Taurus. And this then brings a pleasant and short but sweet ability to emotionally attract, perhaps through the law of attraction, the much needed money to either decorate and or renovate home matters and bring the much needed funds to create the fun. In other words, get it completed to have a Merry Christmas. And then on December 21st, the sun will leave Sagittarius and enter your 12th house, entering the sign of Capricorn at 22 hours 24 minutes. So now the sun is, or will be, transiting your 12th house. The 12th house of dreams and the subconscious mind, and creating deep or shining a light perhaps on maybe deeply held beliefs. I don't know. But it's a nice time to, in other words, say for instance, if you have Christmas off, a nice time to retreat and communicate with your subconscious. Not really quite sure, but in other words, I don't know. It's just you'll see for yourself. This is why it's just general. Then on December 22nd at 14 hours 22 minutes, your ruling planet Uranus sextiles the moon in Gemini, in your 5th house of romance and creativity. So with this, from the 3rd to the 5th houses, moon in Gemini, you're gonna have like a ability to positively, emotionally, somewhat spontaneously go out and about with your romantic partner if you have created a new romance, or if you're a writer, something to do with creativity, something intellectual perhaps. And then on December 22nd as well, the full moon occurs in your Sixth house of health and work in Cancer, so the opposite sign to Capricorn, giving this figuratively speaking, an opposition, even though this isn't considered an actual opposition in terms of aspecting. But when the full moon occurs, it's when the sun is in its opposite sector, and that happens at 0 hours 49 minutes, 6th house, highlighting the need to look after your health and nurture your health. Then on December 24th, Christmas Eve, your ruling planet Uranus squares the waning full moon and gives you a bit of a challenge to your way of communicating with what you do for work. Maybe there's a bit of a, like frustration or something. Not really quite sure on that. But anyway, Merry Christmas. There are no aspects on Christmas Day. Then the following day, December 26th at 15 hours 38 minutes, your ruling planet trines the moon once the moon goes into your opposite sun sign of Leo, into your 7th house of significant partners and the house of the others. This is the house of the self, yourself, and your body versus the other person or others or public at large. And now with the moon in Leo bringing a bit of flamboyancy, as it's the day after Christmas and everyone's partying and having a grand time, this harmony between the moon and Leo harmoniously trining your ruling planet Uranus gives you that ability to speak emotionally, or I don't know, uniquely with a significant other, or just with others in general, and just being very harmonious at this time. It's just going to be very peaceful. And then on December 28th at 16 hours 28 minutes, Mars in Pisces opposes the moon in Virgo once the moon moves into your 8th house of others' resources, bringing you emotional awareness to and through your actions concerning money, and bringing, as I like to call it, the point of awareness to how it is you attract physically what it is you need. Then on December 29th, the last quarter phase moon happens at 9:35, coming full circle at 7 degrees Libra, 36 minutes into your 9th house of law and higher education. Ending out the year once again in a loving, harmonious state. And then on December 30th at 22 hours 55 minutes, your ruling planet opposes that very same. Let's see here. By the way, you are here. There's Earth. Okay, so now, once again, even though I said the year ends peacefully, there's also just a bit of a challenge or need as the moon deals with emotional needs. The need to be emotionally aware of how it is you communicate, in other words, how it is you will express your newfound resolutions. Maybe you'll be making New Year's resolutions that you know you want to stick with, and you will be expressing them. And with that, I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, peace on Earth, and a Happy New Year. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please feel free to like, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and or subscribe to me. Thank you.